Just think of all the hours you'll save. Now what if you could take all that time and invest it? Watch it grow. Until eventually, one day, you'd have so much time that you wouldn't know what to do with it all. But unfortunately, time doesn't work like that. It can't be stored or banked. And unlike money, you can't make it back. That's why after 50 years of investing, we've learned that time is the greatest gift of all. And the good news is, if you invest early, time gives you money. And then money gives you more time to do whatever you want to do, even if it is scrolling on the internet. Ellen Gray, long-term investing. Ellen Gray is an authorized FSP.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga.
Ngiyakhumbula le ngoma. Yo, super memories here.
Hey, 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 ayo. Bendibuza ukuba denza njani na dihlala ndikhazila namazani bayambuza bathi kuqhubeka ntoni okanye divini lotho dihlala ndingumile wena betwa
Noma umuntu engasazi ukuthi le ngoma yaphuma nini, it is Untando with Nguwe, and that is how we open up the show today. Bangitshela ukuthi it is International Mother Tongue Day, according to my producers, and then they take it one step further. Bathi mina funa ngikhuluma isiZulu the entire show namhlanje ngathi ayisoze awungeke niyangisukela. It can never be. It is not within the realm of my capabilities ukuthi ngikhulume ngesiZulu usuku lonke. However, ngathi nje in the first few minutes of the show already yazi ukuthi isiZulu sami siyateka ngoba amagama athi aphinda baleke. And it's always been the running joke in my life. Which the minute you put a microphone or a camera to my face and you say Zulu must come on command, is vetane isiphume nkosi yami isihambing a wind. Hey, ngingasazi nami ukuthi manje funeka kuthiweni, but it is International Mother Tongue Day, and we're asking you the question today ukuthi if you had to mawungakwazi ukuthi ukhethe olunye ulimi ukuthi ukhulume ngalo, olunye ulimi oluhalelayo olufiselayo ukuthi mangakhuluma nje mangakwazi ukubulabula yabo, mangakazi ukuthi ngifaka amazwi ngithi qap mhlambe ngesisuthu noma ngesixhosa noma ngesindebele, which language would you be speaking? If you had a choice, if you had the capacity to speak any other language apart from your own, which language would you be speaking? It is International Mother Tongue Day today. It is the full circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, right here on SAFM, as we get into a very short schedule of conversation today, because at 2:00 we are waiting for the finance minister to take to the podium and deliver that budget speech for 2024. But our lines are open on 061-410-4107, 086-000-2032. Can you believe ukuthi they even said to me, mhlawumbe namhlanje funeka sithi kubantu mabekufonela noma bekuthumela ama voice notes funeka bakhulume ngawo in their mother tongues. Ngathi I guess so we generations we're going to need a whole translation department, but feel free if you'd like to try it that way as well for today. Maybe try communicating with us in your mother tongue. You are more than welcome to do so. It is International Mother Tongue Day. We've got a short agenda. Like I say, we're going to be looking at breaking bad habits in light of the budget speech. How do we break our bad financial habits? And if you've got some major goals for 2024 that you'd like to accomplish, some things that require you to have focus and dedication in as far as budgeting and saving and planning to make those happen, maybe some steps as to how we can make sure that by the end of the year you're able to tick some of those items off. And then we're going to be catching up with Dr. Gugu Mazebuko, who's going to be joining us with UKZN, and we're going to be talking around the importance of mother tongues. It is International Mother Tongue Day, and the truth of the matter is most of us, if we are honest, are not very proficient in our mother tongues, because a lot of things come into play when we have a conversation around proficiency and your ability to be able to articulate and communicate in your mother tongue. It's not just about, being exposed to the language. There's so much more. Let's take a quick break here and then we come back and we get into our first conversation.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Joined now by Nolene Dahane, who is a financial advisor, a speaker, as well as an entrepreneur, and a candidate with Money Matters Coach. And Nolene is going to help us. Hopefully, Nolene, help us, get our minds into the right sort of mind frame going into this year ahead of the budget speech. But we've got our own financial problems in our individual households, and a lot of them start with the relationship that we have or don't have with money. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Bridget. Thank you for having me.
It's only but a pleasure. A lot of the issues that maybe we face in our households, come from and stem from our own relationships that we have or may not have with money.
Yes, correct. Absolutely. And I think the important thing is, the relationship that you have with money, you need to realize what it's influenced by, where it comes from, right? Because it's a very complicated relationship. It's something that's difficult to change, but if you're not even aware and you're on autopilot, then it just gets worse.
And I mean, the truth of the matter is we all interface with money every single day, and so it should be one of those relationships that come easy for us, but that's just the furthest thing from the truth.
Absolutely, absolutely. The thing is, what influences your money personality or your relationship with money is your habits and your attitudes, right? And those are things that are not easy to change. When you think of somebody who's got a bad attitude, you might find that this person has been like this their entire life, or somebody who has a bad habit, they've been like that their entire life. And then we wake up tomorrow and we say we're going to change this and we're going to have a great relationship with money. It doesn't work like that, because these are unconscious patterns of behavior, it's subconscious thoughts, it's feelings, and it's the things that we do without thinking, because sometimes you spend all this money and then after a while you sit down and you ask yourself, but why? I don't even remember why I wanted to buy the things that I bought and things like that. So it does become complicated. So yeah, we should have a good relationship with money, and it can change, but it starts with being aware that your relationship with money is influenced by your family, by society, community, your own personal experiences, by the media, even your religion and your spiritual beliefs. So knowing all of that and being able to sit down and map it out for yourself is the first starting point.
And how does one become conscious of those sort of habits and attitudes? How do you is this a tool set that we can maybe use in order to awaken that sense of consciousness, so you are able to connect the dots, so to speak, with some of your behaviors?
I think the first thing one needs to ask themselves is whether or not they like the way that they interact with money. Okay. Most people will say no. Once your answer is no, then you can start there and ask yourself, where does it come from? Right? Why do I do the things that I do when money is involved, the way that I do them? So I think very first starting point is to ask yourself, do I like the relationship that I have with money? If it's a no, then we sit down and unpack it, and it's also important maybe to work with a professional, right? And say, I'm reaching out to you because I do a budget, or I tell myself that I'm going to be disciplined and I'm going to use money this way, and then come the next week or the next month, I look back and I'm like, I did exactly the opposite of what I said I was going to do. It also boils down to a sense of discipline. It also means that you might not be a disciplined person in your personality, and that might be something that you need to change within yourself.
And I think maybe discipline plays a very key role in these conversations, because I said at the beginning, maybe some of our outtake from our chat with you would be, how do we move forward if we've got goals and plans for the year? But that's where the discipline comes into play.
Yes, absolutely. So the discipline isn't always there. Well, a lot of the times it's not there. Probably 90% of the people that I've interacted with do not have the discipline to stick to a budget. And sometimes it's because we go from habits that we've created over years to wanting to change them in 1 month. Setting yourself up completely for failure, making your budget extremely rigid, and thinking that you went from being an overspender last month and you are going to spend 50% of your salary the next month. And maybe you get it right for the first 2 months, and then on the third month you use all of the money that you've just saved for the past 2 months. So now you've created a new habit or a new problem to deal with, right? So how do we transform it? Start small. This is probably cliche, but start small. Start with one actionable goal, one that's a smart goal. So, for instance, say that I'd like to pay off my debt. That's the only goal that I have. I'll think of how my spending patterns are later, whatever. But if there's anything I want to commit to, is to pay off my debt, as an example. Then we write down the debt and we see, okay, how are we going to make it possible? How long is a realistic goal to pay off debt? How much is it, or I want to focus on making more money, You know, because sometimes clients tell me that, no, Lean, actually, I just want to focus on making more money so I can afford my bad habits, which is also not a good idea. Because they escalate as quickly as that money comes in, you know.
Absolutely. There's always another bad habit that's bigger than the other habit.
Yes, exactly.
But I like that idea of once you see, if we're using a debt as an example, once you see that goal, that figure in front of you, and then you almost put a strategy around it that's also practical.
Yes, absolutely. And that practicality starts with giving yourself time, because you absolutely will not change the habits that you've created over years and months, right? So, and being able to look back and reward yourself for small wins, look back and say that actually 2 years ago, this is the position that I was in. Now, 2 years later, this is the position I'm in. But those small habits have stacked up over time. The small changes have stacked up over time, and that's how you make lasting and sustainable change to your relationship with money.
Yeah. And I guess the strategy can also be utilized if one has a goal that sort of requires you to save for. So maybe you want to buy a car, or you need to pay lobola, or buy an engagement ring, whatever it is, a goal that's regarded as a positive achievement, because also our relationship with debt can be quite tricky. So sometimes it's easier if you've got the goal that makes you happy, the thing that seems like it brings happiness.
Yes, absolutely. And the reason why I use debt is because sometimes that's the one that weighs the heaviest on your emotions. So when it's gone, you have that sense of relief. You can breathe better. You can be like, oh goodness, I've made it out of that. I'm never going back, you know.
Yeah.
So sometimes the happiness is in getting rid of the debt. But you're right, saving can be a good goal. However, our problem when it comes to saving is that when you work with clients and you, as an example for what I do, and I tell my clients, let's save money, or let's invest, or let's put money away for the future, whatever. Subconsciously, it looks like I am taking money away from them.
Oh.
Right? So putting away money feels and looks like a loss to most people, because it takes away the ability to spend it now.
Instant gratification.
Yes. So it feels and looks like a loss, right? So it's also important to be aware of the fact that when I'm saving 1,000 Rand a month, I don't have 1,000 Rand less to spend now, which is true, but it means I have 10,000 more to spend in 10 months. As an example. So you need to be able to switch your thinking from less to more. So if I put away 1,000 Rand for 12 months, I have 12,000 plus maybe interest that I would have gotten. So that's what I have. Not focusing on, oh, actually each month I have 1,000 Rand less. You don't actually have it less. It's there. You just don't get to spend it at that point in time.
That is a whole different psychology, because I never thought about it that way. But as we wrap it up in our last minute, we know the budget speech is coming up today, lots on the agenda. What should we be mindful of, particularly on an individual household basis?
Okay, before I answer that question, I would just want to say that it's important to know what the budget speech is. I think we miss that important step, thinking that everybody knows, or we take it for granted that everybody knows what the budget speech is. That is the overview of the state of the country's finances. Plain and simple is the country's budget. What comes in, what goes out, where it comes from, and where it goes, and where to redirect it to if it's necessary. So against that backdrop, what we then should look out for is the changes in the tax, because this affects us directly, right? Whether the tax, because tax is a source of income for the government.
Yes.
So if there are taxes that increase, that means that less for us. If there are tax cuts, it means more for us, you know, whether we are individuals or businesses or whatever the case is, right? And also, secondly, what the money is to be spent on. So where the budget is placed, basically, in order of priority, because this also tells us what the plans are to grow the economy, which is something that I think as South Africans we should be really mindful of.
Absolutely. Nolene, we have to wrap it there today. Thank you so much for the words of advice. That was Nolene Tahani, financial advisor. It's just gone 1:30, and Mudupi is standing by with the headline news.
Thank you very much, Sister Bridget. In your headlines this hour, Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana will deliver the 2024 budget speech in Parliament shortly. The ANC has welcomed the judgment of the High Court in Pretoria that dismissed the DA's application to have the ANC's cadre deployment policy declared unconstitutional, and the accused in the Thabo Bester prison escape case will be back in the Free State High Court in Bloemfontein on June the 5th. Details coming up at 5:22.
Top Sport with Michael Abramson.
Sean Oldknow. Hearty congratulations on a wonderful achievement, the second fastest marathon time by a South African ever in the history of this country. Fantastic result for you. You must be over the moon.
I think it's one of my best races I've ever run. Great experience from start to finish, and I'm just so happy with the result and how it all came together.
Sevilla is fairly flat as far as I know it, but did the course pan out like that, or were there challenges that you had to encounter?
Yeah, so they advertised it as the flattest and fastest route in Europe, and this is my first international marathon, so I don't have much to compare it to, but it was flat, it was fast.
Top Sport on SAFM. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga. Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
086 000 2032 061 410 4107. That is our WhatsApp line. So if you had the opportunity, to pick another language for you to be proficient in, which language would it be? Dr. Gugu Mazibuko is joining me now, and she is the academic leader for African languages and linguistics and development modules at UKZN. It is International Mother Tongue Day, and Dr. Mazibuko, mina ke shem ngiyinkinga ngiyingxaki. Uyezwa nje ukuthi yabona lesizulu sikalo hayi shem ilesizulu lesi se-model C, ilesizulu sesama suburbs, siyateka nje all over the place.
Enkulu sawubona Bridget nabo bonke abalaleli baka SAFM ngosuku olukhulu lo limi lukamama, ulimi lwebele.
Nazo yabona abantu abasaziyo basikhuluma even nge-confidence, thina kuthiwa sithi sing song Zulu. But masikhulume about the importance of the mother tongue language, because there's been a very big push to sort of encourage people to foster and nurture mother tongue languages. Why is it so important?
Bridget, it's very important that we learn our mother tongue languages, because that's the starting point. You cannot acquire a second language well if you don't have the basic mother tongue language. If you cannot master your own mother tongue, then it becomes a challenge to learn the other language. And you understand everything. If you can look at countries like China, where they teach all the subjects, all the modules in their mother tongue, the success rate is very high, and the students they finish their degrees on time, because language is not a barrier. So your mother tongue is very important.
Very important indeed. And interestingly enough, when we talk about the importance, there seems to be a difficulty in the different generations, right? Parents are often, especially late millennial parents who are raising young Gen Zs or Gen Xs, they're always talking about the difficulty in getting the language embedded in the household because of the duality of life that we live, particularly on the African continent.
Yeah, I think parents play a major role, especially in the language that their children must be taught, because as you know that even the school governing bodies, they have a role to decide on the language that they want their children to learn. But they always talk about we cannot allow our kids to be taught in isiZulu, in isiXhosa, because they cannot compete globally. Yeah, but that's not the issue. It doesn't mean that if they are being taught in isiZulu, they won't learn English. They will still learn English, but they will have a clear understanding of the content being explained in the language that they use. For instance, at UKZN, there is a bilingual language policy where both isiZulu and English are language of teaching, research, administration, and everything. But the pass rate has gone high because the students are enjoying their tutorials in mother tongue, and it becomes easy to understand the content.
That makes perfect sense. I also know, Dr. Gugu Uguti, you've also very much spoken around, the fact that language, whether we're talking isiZulu or other languages, it's not something that just comes from exposing somebody to the language. It's also something that comes from exposure to culture and is rooted very much in identity. Culture, community play a very big role in one's understanding and one's command and ability to move through their language. Exactly.
That is why it is very important that our mother languages are not left behind in the 4IR, in the AI, because we are in the digital phase. So as we move to the next phase, we take our languages with us. So it's important that you cannot find an online dictionary in isiZulu. There has to be everything available for all languages in the digital space. So you can learn your language, you can speak your language, you can have conversations in all levels, in all spaces. So there's no language that is smaller than the other, but all languages are equal. And South Africa is the best country with a multilingual language policy where 11 languages are official languages, and including the indigenous languages. So we need they must enjoy a parity of esteem, all the languages. Absolutely. And in fact, you guys out at UKZN, in recognition of UNESCO's International Mother Tongue Day, the theme for 2024 is actually going to be front and center at the time of the Writer Festival presented by the Center for Creative Arts. Yes, there is a full African languages session, isiZulu, which will be fully curated in isiZulu. And there's quite a lot of authors that are coming up, and they enjoy that their writings, whatever that they have written that is published, will also be part of the festival, because Center for Creative Arts promotes the bilingual nature of the institution. Doc, unfortunately, we do have to wrap it up there for today. I would have loved to continue our conversation, but because of the budget speech, we have to wrap up early today. But I appreciate the time with you. That was Dr. Gugu Mazibugo, and she is the academic leader for African languages at UKZN. I see your WhatsApps, by the way. Konote uthanda isiZulu sami ngoba uthi kahle kahle ukhuluma mntakabawo ungcono kunabanye bethu. Mina bengizokhetha ukukhuluma iSwahili phezulu kwelimu lika ma, I think. That's Sharon in Bordeaux.
And then we have someone else who said, Sanbona nonke ngalapho, love our Zulu language. It is an international Mother Tongue Day today. And we are asking you to communicate in your language if you feel comfortable to do so. It is 22 at 2 o'clock. Time to get into a Kids Corner.
Sure, girl, this Ford Puma, love the interior. And how about its award-winning engine and selectable drive modes? From only $7,899 per month with 0% deposit, primeless 5.5% and a driver assistance pack included.
Sure, get more with the new Ford Puma Titanium from only $7,899 per month.
Visit your nearest Ford dealer today. T&Cs apply.
Mzansi Africa.
Siyabulela nangomso.
Thank you for witnessing the Africa Cup of Nations Cote d'Ivoire 2023 in your language of choice on SABC radio stations, digital platforms, and SABC TV channels.
Big ups to Hollywood Bets for being on board.
Your magnificent and heartwarming support gave millions of South Africans a spectacular and exhilarating experience during AFCON.
Asonye.
Proudly brought to you
by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
Hi everyone, my name is Lorraine Moyo. I'm 11 years old. I am very good at my spelling. So we have this thing in English where every single Tuesday you write a spelling test, and I usually get, let's say, 9 or 10 out of 10. So I am very good. I'm excellent at my spelling. If I were to improve my marks from a 9 to 10, I would study a lot more, like in the afternoons, in the evenings, and then the next day when I'm at school, I just scan through to make sure that I know everything. And in grade 7, just know you have very hard spelling words to learn. They are very certain activities that I do to help with my spelling. Like, I give my mom my spelling words, and then she asks me the questions, and I will have to write down the spelling, and then she will mark my spelling test. And if I get a lower mark, I will write the test again that my mom has to do, and I will hopefully get a better mark that time. As of now, I don't need any help with my spelling because I'm a very good speller. But anyways, thank you so much for listening to me. I hope you have a wonderful day ahead of you guys. Bye.
My name and surname is Piyogesham Tembe. I am 9 years old. In spelling, I am an average. Some words I can spell correctly, but some are difficult for me, and I struggle with spelling them correctly. My mom offered me an opportunity to improve my spelling. I practice reading and writing words multiple times each day, and I use these words to make sentences. I also look up and find words in the dictionary to find their meaning and spelling. With everything I do to practice my spelling and improve spelling, I can feel that it is working because I am better. I couldn't spell most words. Now I have improved. I also play the game WoW and on my phone because it is a crossword puzzle of spelling. I am happy my mom helps me improve my spelling. Thank you.
Hi there. My name is Dureta Ndlovu. I am 12 years old and I go to Macaulay House School. Out of 10, I would say that I am 7 out of 10 good with spelling. At my school, our English teacher usually gives us 20 spelling words to go home, find the meaning, and learn the meaning of the words. That is a very helpful way for me to learn my words. We also have a book that we read, and if there are words that we don't understand, we look for the meanings in our dictionaries. Those two are part of the activities that help me learn spelling better. For me, being tested at school and at home would be a very helpful way for me to memorize words forever.
Hello, my name is Patamachet and I improve my spelling by learning new words and expanding my vocabulary. Yes, there are activities that I feel help me with some of my spelling. Reading advanced books with a more advanced vocabulary also helps me.
My name is Asanda Chavalala. I'm 11 years old from Ekoli. Yes, spelling words correctly matters to me. When I'm given a spelling test, I get all the spelling words right. That's how good I am at spelling. I started to learn how to spell when I was in grade 1. My teachers and parents helped me with spelling correctly. I practice spelling with my mom. Yes, I do think not being able to spell words correctly will work against me in my schoolwork, because when I have a spelling test, I will not be able to spell and I'll fail my test.
Hello, Misha Mangare. Yes, spelling words correctly does matter to me. I would say I'm excellent at spelling words. I started learning how to spell words in grade 1. My parents helped me. Yes, it's an online activity. Yes, as in some tests, spelling does count for a mark. So spelling words incorrectly can make you lose marks. To be able to use good grammar and no spelling errors.
Hi, my name is Antla Shabaku and I am 11 years old. Spelling words correctly does really matter to me because I know that it would help me in the future. I am very good at spelling words correctly, but if I do write something long and I get tired, I won't spell the words as correctly as I normally do. I started learning how to spell words when I was around 4 to 5 years old. My mom was the one who taught me. She still does till this day. She does help me with doing the words correctly. There are no activities that I participate in at school or anywhere because when participating in them, my school does not have any kind of, I'd say, activities that you can do. I do think that not being able to spell words correctly does affect you because in my school, they do take your spelling words part as a very, they take your words as a very serious thing, and it's very good to know how to learn your words. Thank you.
Hi friends! Learning how to spell words is like embarking on an exciting adventure with letters. Here are some cool ways to make this journey fun and effective. Word games. Turn spelling into games. Scrabble, Bogle, or online word puzzles are like playful challenges that help you memorize and recognize how words are spelled. Rhyming. Finding words that rhyme is like having a musical memory aid. It helps you remember the spelling patterns in a fun and rhythmic way. Mnemonics. Creating little memory tricks is like having secret codes for words. Associate tricky spellings with something you find memorable. Visualization. Picture the words in your mind. It's like creating mental images that help you remember the sequence of letters. Imagine the word as a colorful picture, and spelling becomes a visual adventure. Writing practice. The more you write, the better you get. It's like having a spelling workout. Write sentences, short stories, or even your own spelling lists. It helps your brain remember the patterns. Break it down. Dividing words into smaller parts is like having a secret code-breaking mission. Focus on syllables or common prefixes and suffixes. It makes big words feel less intimidating. Flashcards. Using flashcards is like having your personal spelling assistant. Write the word on one side and the correct spelling on the other. It's a bit like a mini pop quiz that helps reinforce your memory. Technology apps. They are cool apps designed for learning spelling. It's like having a spelling wizard in your pocket, guiding you through interactive exercises and games. Spelling bees. Participating in spelling bees is like entering a spelling championship. It's a bit like showcasing your spelling skills and competing in a friendly environment. Remember, everyone learns differently, so try out different methods and find what works best for you.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives.
And just like that, it is 10 to 2 o'clock. And of course, you know that the news with Mudupi is coming up 5 minutes early. So 5 to the top of the hour, we're going to bring you the news. But for now, though, I see he's just walked in to the venue, ready to deliver the 2024 budget speech. And we are calling on the assistance of my colleague, Jimmy Muyaha, to come through and maybe give us a brief overview of what's to be expected today ahead of that budget speech. So, Jimmy, I am going to throw it over to you before Madupi comes forward with the news.
Good afternoon, Bridget. Thank you so much for that. Today's obviously the day we've been looking forward to for quite some time. The budget speech will be delivered just after 2 p.m. and we'll be breaking down that conversation before and after the conversation. I have a very, very educated panel with me in today's discussion. I'm joined in studio on my side by Kyle Mandy, who is a tax technical partner and tax policy leader at PricewaterhouseCoopers, now known as PwC, and as well as a lead economist at KPMG, Frank Blackmore. But I'm also joined on the phone likely by guests that are probably in Cape Town with some of the minister and other colleagues. That is lecturer and academic coordinator at the Nelson Mandela University, Dr. Asanda Fotoy, as well as the CEO of the South African Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Alan Mukoki. So my panel is ready and waiting, and we're looking forward to the speech that is about to be delivered. And I suppose from a thoughts perspective, perhaps let me get initial thoughts from the panel around some expectations that we've seen. Kyle, let me start with you. We spoke about this just before we went on air to say that there is a lot of there are a lot of things that we need to hear, but that's very different from what we're expecting to hear. What are you expecting?
Well, I think what we certainly would. I'm going to put a tax hat on for the moment, given that is my role. What we would love to hear is that there are no tax increases. Will we hear that? I don't think so. As you know, Treasury's already announced that they will, back in the mini budget, that they would increase taxes by some 15-odd billion rand. The big question is going to be, will that go ahead, which I think it will go ahead. But what I'd like to hear, and I don't have an issue per se with the tax increases, even though it's not ideal in the current economic environment, but the form that those tax increases take, it's certainly not